Hi everyone, we've got our special guest on the way, so stay tuned. So what did we all think of the news this morning, Mr. Ian Macleod? Hello.
How's it going?
How are you doing?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm cracking, thank you, yes. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Congratulations on the news.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Is it something that you've known for a while, or is it kind of preparing
Yeah, to be honest, it's probably in the middle of midsummer. I sat and spoke with Paul just to confirm things. But to be honest, I haven't been acting as an interim coach. That word hasn't really affected how I've done things. So, but it's nice to get it confirmed. But to be honest, just now get it out the way, focus on players and them arriving and building to the new season.
Which is something I guess you didn't have the time for last season, because it was only a couple of days, wasn't it, before the players arrived?
It was, yeah. I was involved in the recruiting process like I always was, for the 6-7 years I was assistant with Fab and Dave. But my role previously was kind of like we call it the eye test, watch the video of the players, dig down into those type of things. Whereas, Forrester was more of, he's like delving into the matrix. He looks at all the numbers and pulls out the players who were relevant for us to look at. So yeah, it wasn't it certainly wasn't ideal having just a few days run up last year. So it's nice to be able to plan this year, yeah.
Plan as much as you can with coronavirus and everything going on, and
yeah, there's not a lot we can do. So just take the best out of it, really,
Yeah. What does it mean to you seeing? Because I mean, my social media timelines have just been full of Ian Macleod news today, and everyone's saying how happy they are. Or what does it mean to you seeing all that?
It's nice. I mean, one of the big things I learned this year, is stepping up from assistant to head coach is not pay too much attention to social media. Like, there's some good stuff, but literally in 7 days, you can go from the best team in the world to the worst. Irrespective of what you did in those 7 days, it can sometimes be a one bad quarter and it's the end of the world, So I try not to get too high or too low with that type of stuff. But it's always nice to see, of course, especially when you're sort of connecting with guys that around the country, around Europe and wherever else, So it's always nice, but it's nice to also move on and focus on the basketball.
Right. Just looking at last season, how would you describe kind of the season as a whole? Would you say it was a successful season, a transitional season? How would you describe it?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, if you look just at outcomes, you'd probably say it was successful. We never got to complete the league. I'd like to think we were trending upwards when the league did finish, guys coming back from injury and whatever else, and we ended up with a trophy. So on outcomes, it was a successful season. There was a lot of moving parts to kind of try and get it all going in the right direction. I think the word inconsistent is a pretty obvious one, and it's something we've got to get better at. We have to be more consistent this year. But yeah, I think was it as good as it could have been? No. Was it as bad as it could have been? Certainly not. So there's definitely positives to take away from it, no doubt about that. And I think it's a good start. We hadn't been in a major final for a couple of years, so to get to one and win the trophy, it was nice to sort of add to the tradition of the club, and hopefully we can continue to do that.
How important was the addition of CJ? Was it November time? How important was that this season?
A 7-foot guy who gets 24 and 14, pretty big addition. It was, but at the same time, it was a very difficult decision. With John. John was a great guy, like really good guy. I had a lot of time for John. I just felt like we needed a little something different, and what CJ did bring to us was far more consistency. That's what not CJ was. We knew what he was, and it was a good. I think the decision was kind of it was vindicated. We did in the end. It showed what he brought to us. I think the connection CJ and Fletch had was quite obvious as well. So yeah, tough decision to make, but obviously a huge impact.
I think 3 matches from the season stick in my head. The London home game,
Yeah.
Glasgow away, and then obviously the trophy final. Are there any others that kind of stick in your mind of being kind of highlights?
We had early on. We had a double header weekend away, which was Cheshire Leicester. We won them both, and the Leicester game away was good. You know, just to get the win down there nice and early, that was really good as well. It's in Leicester would always helped as well. But yeah, the ones you've mentioned definitely, but also the ones for me that really stick out, which I thought refocused us a lot, were the two home losses, which were Glasgow and Sheffield, where we blew leads.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we never shy away from the fact that we had improvement to make, and I think those two losses were really good for us. We learned a lot from those, and I think later on in the season that actually benefited. You know, learning from that.
So how does that move on in next season? Are you kind of, what are your hopes for next season? Kind of with the team?
Play good basketball, win basketball games. You know, improve the culture. You know, keep improving the culture. Sorry, building the culture is probably the better word, not improving. Just keep building that culture. You know, as a club, not just the team as well. What the club looks like, what basketball looks like, we don't know. We don't even know what society's going to look like. You know, so it's about making the most of what we've got, whatever form that is, and just keep trying to drive the club forward. And it's not just putting the ball in the hoop. It's have we got the right support for the guys off the court? You know, physios, S&Cs. You know, are we analysing the right way? Are we doing all the things that performance and elite athletes should be doing, and in the provision we have, and just trying to do the best job we have with the resources we have, really.
Right. What else? So yeah, obviously with Corona, we don't really know a start date or anything like that. So it must be hard to plan, kind of for the season.
It is a little bit. I mean, the BBL announced when the playoff final is.
Yeah.
And with that press release, they just kind of stuck a line in there that says we're working towards an autumn start as usual. You know, which would suggest end of September, maybe start of October. So we're working towards that until I'm told differently. That's what I'm working towards. That's what we have been doing. So, until something concrete tells us to do otherwise, we'll just go for that.
I find it very interesting. I've heard a few interviews with yourself talking about kind of speed and players playing at speed. And is that kind of a philosophy that you hold throughout kind of your teams?
Not necessarily. I think one of the strangest things in coaching is when people say, "What's your coaching philosophy?" Well, what if you've got 5 Fletchers and then, you know, the biggest guy you've got 6'4"? Is your coaching philosophy still to get the ball inside and play off the post? Or what if you've got 5 guys the size of CJ? So coaching philosophy, I think it has to be adaptable. I looked at what we had and I thought, we can run here. We can play really fast. I think numbers wise, last year, 26% of our offenses were fast breaks. We led the league in that. The second place team was 20%. So we were 6% of the time we fast break more than any other team. So no, it was what we had, what I thought was appropriate. You know, if you watched our EABL team from 2 years ago, that wasn't what we did, because that just wasn't the players that we had. So why, you know, I'm not going to force a philosophy that's not appropriate. So it's about knowing what you have, and in this summer about recruiting into that as well, so it does actually fit how we want to play.
So obviously teams around the BBL are announcing kind of the signings. I think London announced their 9th signings, but I guess they've got a start date when they're starting as well, haven't they? Because they're in Europe. Does kind of scouting of teams start from the minute that they announce players, or do you need to see them play together? Or how does that work?
A lot of the players we already know anyway. Like obviously, like if you take Liggins for example at London, we weren't expecting him to be in the BBL, so okay, we got to dig into him a little bit more. But like, so they've announced Kingsley today. We know Kingsley, you know, that's someone I've seen right through the age groups as well, GB in England. So, you know, a lot of the players you know, and it's just kind of, okay, how are they going to play? Yes, but tendencies of the individual player I always think is more important than what they're doing as the team, because if you defend a team correctly, they'll always revert back to what they're most comfortable with, which is their tendencies individually. So we know a lot of the players anyway. So yeah, we'll scout them when we get the chance as a team. But yeah, I do a lot of work anyway before we even get to them.
And how long do you think the Eagles fans are going to have to wait for their first announcement?
What time's it now?
Uh,
I'm just joking. It's not going to be that quick. Soon. Very soon. Imminent. I will say imminent.
I won't keep that much longer, but what would you say to kind of the Eagles fans, kind of who are desperate to get back to the arena and support the team? And what would you say to the fans on today?
First thing I would say is I appreciate how frustrating it is to remain patient. But, you know, we've worked hard over the summer. I think we've put an exciting roster together. So I think you'll be pleased at what the product we put on the floor. Just keep looking forward to coming back to basketball. Hopefully it's as we all remember it and love it. But yeah, remain patient, which is the hardest thing to do.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Ian. I appreciate your time, and congratulations again on the news today that's come out. Congratulations.
No problem. Thank you very much for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.